Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about something that's absolutely essential to how India is run, but often flies under the radar. We're talking about the specialized bodies created to tackle modern challenges, the ones that go way beyond the original constitutional playbook. So, what do a terror attack, a natural disaster, and a 5-year economic plan all have in common? I know, it sounds like the start of a weird riddle, right? But the answer actually tells us a whole lot about how a modern government has to evolve. Each of these are incredibly complex problems that led to India creating powerful, specialized agencies to deal with them. So, how were these agencies even built? Okay, first, let's get a key distinction out of the way. On one hand, you have constitutional bodies. Think of these as being hardwired right into the country's DNA, into the Constitution itself. But the ones we're exploring today are non-constitutional. These are different. They're built as needed, either by passing a new law or just by a direct government order. This makes them really agile, like specialized tools you can forge whenever a new problem pops up. Let's start with the big one, the economy. For decades, India's economic path was charted by a single, really powerful institution. But, as the world changed, that old way of doing things had to change too. The old system was famous for its massive 5-year plans. The problem was, these plans were often just too rigid. They were cooked up in the capital and then pushed down to all the states. And they often just couldn't adapt to local needs or to how fast the economy was shifting. So in 2015, there was this major shift. The old Planning Commission was completely replaced by something new called Niti Aayog. And this wasn't just a name change, it was a fundamental change in philosophy. Instead of that rigid, top-down command and control style, Niti Aayog was designed to be a bottom-up policy think tank. Its job is to advise and collaborate, not to dictate. And that idea of collaboration is absolutely crucial here. Niti Aayog's whole mission is to foster what's called cooperative federalism. Really, that just means bringing the states into the conversation as partners, acting as a hub for new ideas, and making sure development starts from the ground up. Okay, so from planning the economy, let's switch gears to protecting the people. Because any government also needs strong mechanisms to hold itself accountable and to protect the rights of its citizens. And think about it, that is a massive challenge. When things go wrong, whether it's a human rights violation or a case of high-level corruption, who do citizens turn to? This very question is what led to the creation of several powerful watchdog agencies. So India created a few different kinds of guardians to watch over different areas. You've got the National Human Rights Commission, which investigates rights violations. Then there's the Lokpal, which targets corruption among the top brass. We're talking ministers and high-level officials. And then there's the Central Vigilance Commission, which acts as the main watchdog fighting corruption inside the government's own bureaucracy. So how do you make sure these watchdogs actually have teeth? How do they stay independent? Well, a lot of their power comes from how their leaders are appointed. They're chosen by committees that include not just the prime minister, but also the leader of the opposition. This cross-party buy-in is specifically designed to let them work without political pressure. Sometimes the need for a new institution isn't born from a careful plan, but from a tragedy. In fact, India has created some of its most critical agencies in the direct aftermath of national crises. You can literally draw a straight line from crisis to creation. The devastating Gujarat earthquake in 2005 exposed a huge need for a coordinated national response, which led directly to the National Disaster Management Authority. In the same way, the horrific 2008 Mumbai terror attacks led directly to the formation of the National Investigation Agency, or NIA, a federal body specifically to combat terrorism. Now, the disaster response approach is pretty smart. It's multi-layered. The NDMA operates at the national level, and it's chaired by the Prime Minister. But it works hand-in-hand with state and district-level authorities. This makes sure the response is coordinated from the top, but carried out with that crucial local knowledge on the ground. And the NIA hasn't just stood still either. In 2019, an amendment massively expanded its powers. Now, it investigates not just traditional terror plots, but also connected crimes like human trafficking, cyber terrorism, and counterfeit currency. And it can do so even when the links extend beyond India's borders. So, when you pull it all together, what does this tell us? Well, these really diverse bodies, all born from different needs, they form a constantly evolving toolkit that's essential for governing a complex, modern nation. So let's just do a quick recap. We've seen bodies designed for economic strategy, like Niti Aayog. We've seen others that address citizen grievances and public integrity, like the NHRC and the Lokpal. And finally, you have the agencies built to handle national security and crisis response, like the NDMA and the NIA. At the end of the day, this quote really gets to the heart of why these institutions matter so much. A great policy or a noble ideal, well, it's pretty much meaningless without a dedicated, functional body to actually put it into action on the ground. So the crucial point here is that this governance toolkit is not static. The ability to create these non-constitutional bodies gives the government the flexibility to design and deploy specialized tools to solve problems its founders could never, ever have imagined. And that leaves us with one final thought. As the world faces these huge new challenges, from artificial intelligence to climate change and beyond, the big question is, what new tools will India need to build next? What does the governance toolkit of tomorrow even look